the bottom line is we went into a group where you played 3 countries that you would have expected England to have got precisely the kind of results that we got. I think we played, and I don't want to be too stoic about it or too much of a curmudgeon, but we played against what I felt was a poor Iranian side and a poor Welsh side. And we did the job. We played against a US side that were far better than perhaps we gave them credit for, and came out of that result with a performance that people felt wasn't good enough. 7 points from a group in a World Cup, irrespective of the opposition, is the job that was done and needed to have been done. Now we get into the stage of the tournament. I look at England and I think, very much like Stuart, without necessarily the embedded expertise as having been a player or a manager, and think that I think England will play better against better sides. But whether we can cope with better sides defensively will be the argument, and whether Gareth sets us up in a certain way that doesn't allow for us to be free-flowing and brave is a different discussion. But I think that we've done a job. We've done the job that we should have done. Nothing more, nothing less. Now we go into the knockout stages, and we land if we do our jobs again. If we do our jobs again, we should beat the Senegalese, if we do our jobs. And then we land against the French, and then we start having discussions about what this tournament will really look like for
That's
England.
a trigger moment, isn't it?
I think so.
The French, if it gets to the French.
Without being arrogant or dismissing the Senegalese, on paper, prima facie, we should be dealing with the Senegalese. It'll be a difficult match, but I expect us to come through it.
Yeah. Hal, what have you made of them?
The Senegalese, I think, in terms of the England game, it's going to be a tough one for England. Senegalese are very physical. I've watched them, in both of their games that obviously covered, and against the Ecuadorians, they really showed that they're a disciplined team. They're physical throughout the pitch, and they can oppose themselves on the opposition. So I think going into the England game for Gareth Southgate, who he picks in that front lineup is going to be vital, and I think he needs to make sure he's got enough dynamic players in that front line to really affect them. But it's going to be a tough game.
It is. Simon, you kept on mentioning Callum Wilson in my show last night, and then eventually he comes on. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jack Grealish, Trippier, they all came off the bench, Stuart. Is this the best strength and depth that England have had in a generation?
Yes, in the advanced areas it is. They're going into this game. I think a few things got thrown up tactically from this. He played Jude Bellingham further up the pitch in almost a number 10 position. Me personally, I don't think it suited him. I think he was a better player coming to receive off the back line and come onto the play and arrive in the box. That's where his goal come from in the first game. That's where he played his best football. On what I saw yesterday, I'm not sure I'd play him further up the pitch. I mean, he played Henderson and Rice Rice behind the pair of them. Personally, I think it would either be a call of whether he plays Henderson or Mount, to be fair.
Okay, but you think Grealish, and I heard you in commentary, down the pecking order a bit?
Right down the pecking order for me. I would say, put it this way, Rashford, at this moment, there's a clamour to put Rashford and keep Rashford in the team. Saka got 2 goals after the first game, and I think he's done very little wrong, to be fair, even though I don't think he played particularly well against the Americans, but he's staked a claim. I think Sterling has got the confidence of the manager and has the confidence of the manager, so he's got that selection situation. And he's got Phil Foden, who staked a claim yesterday as well. I think all 4 of those are in front of Jack Grealish. That would be my opinion.
What do you think of, Jim was raging about Rice last night, thinking that Rice's default setting, go back, get the ball, turn back, go back, nothing going forward. What do you think of, is that the job he's being asked to do, or is he going into a ridiculous extreme of not being the player that we'd like him to be?
In all honesty, I've half had those frustrations with him at club level, because I think he's got so much more in his locker. He's got a brilliant range of passing.
There you go.
When I talk about getting teams turned, he is in a key position to get us turned and go forward with diagonal passes or forward passes through the lines. He's got a great range of passing. I've seen it firsthand for 2 years. And I think there's more in his locker than just breaking things up.
And gives it back to him.
I agree with you.
For Rice to do that, he needs to move to a big club. For me, in my opinion, because that would then be expected of him, because you can see that the way he plays for England, he moves the ball, which again, don't underestimate the difficulty in always being available and moving the ball quickly, shifting the ball. But in terms of the opportunity to break the lines and having not necessarily the confidence, but the expectation that every time you get on the ball, first thought is forwards. I think he's probably a little bit comfortable in that West Ham team, and for him to go to that next level, he needs to progress in terms of club level, because then that's the expectation.
Yeah, but we're basing that on this team that he's playing in now, England. And I think he should do it a little bit more for England.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the tools to do it. If you've got the tools to do it, the only time I see him get turned and go past someone is to get out of trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when he gets pressed, he surges past people, and you think, whoa. And I've seen him do it 2 or 3 times for West Ham, surge past 2 or 3, and you think, more of the same, please.
Are we in an area now, Stuart, that the Southgate doubters have all but disappeared? Jimmy Carragher in his newspaper column today: Southgate never panics, he's never rattled by criticism, never makes knee-jerk decisions. Amid the hysteria of an international tournament, he is the figure of calm England have all too often lacked. Is he right?
He's incredible for everything that he's done. And it's one of those, you won't know how good he's been and how he's knitted it all together until he goes. And there's a clamour. I don't know whether he'll go beyond this tournament. I've not spoke with him about it. When he leaves the FA and decides to walk away, whether he does now or 2 years or 4 years down the line, you look back and say, wow, what a job he done.
So you wouldn't be.
You don't realise it now.
You wouldn't be in an area of calling him four-leaf clover boy, which someone in this company did.
I'll tell you what I would do. I would keep him at the FA. If he decided tomorrow to say at the end of this tournament, I don't want to manage England anymore, if I was the FA, I would say to him, I need you as a director of football inside the FA. You
Simon?
need to stay here.
I mean, look, we talk about, I think Jamie Carragher's article is a bit silly, really, because I'm not sure who he's comparing it to and what managers have panicked at certain times inside tournaments. I'm not sure some of the managers that have been in situ before have had the fortune of having some of the draws that he has had. He has maintained an order of balance and equitability with the media. He's managed certain perspectives. He's brought an environment in which can't be underestimated, where players are happy to play for the national side.
But never rattled by criticism. Well, that's correct. Never makes knee-jerk decisions.
Well, the tragedy is when it comes to the big decisions, he doesn't make any bloody decision when it comes to affecting certain games where we've had opportunities to win them, like World Cup semi-finals and European Championships.
Is that fair?
Well, I think it is, because
it's a ridiculous statement.
But the thing is, he offers continuity. No. He's offering continuity to this England group of players and to England as a nation. So you cannot underestimate that. And these players are coming through and thriving under him because they've had that platform.
If we say everyone else has managed to set themselves a low standard and managed to achieve it, and he's the only person that's done a decent standard, and we say wonderful, let's applaud that, then I don't fall into that camp. And I can't see how you say it's ridiculous, because in the Croatian game we needed to affect an outcome. We needed to change the direction of travel we were going in, and Southgate didn't do it. And the accusation was that he was new then, so learning his trade. We go to the European Championship final. We watch what's happening in front of us. Everyone can see that the Italians are beginning to overrun us. And so what we do is we wait for it to happen, and then we change. Now, we will see in this tournament when there's no questions put to him right now. We've gone through a group that we should have gone through. When we start asking questions of Gareth Southgate's management ability in key moments which define an elite manager between a good manager, then I'll be able to say to you, you know what, Piercy, you're absolutely right. He has morphed into something that's far more compelling than I think he is. I think he was fortunate to get the job. I think he's maintained a decent status quo. I think he's a decent human being, but I want him to win something when we have opportunities. And if we do, I'll be the first person to say, chapeau, well done, son.
Sure, take me to the break.
Right. Since '66, we've been closest to winning anything under Gareth Southgate, in my opinion. I don't see it in a bullet point.
Well, you were close.
Well, in a bullet point against Italy, he should have done this. For me, I see the whole spectrum of everything he's done. Hal mentioned it, how he's knitted the players together, how he's got the clubs on side, how he takes an interest in the younger age groups, how the younger age groups have started winning, all down to Gareth Southgate on his watch.
We have never beaten anyone that people think there's a 50-50 chance that we could or should. Every time we've lost in a tournament, when it comes to the business end of a tournament, I don't think England should be in tournaments participating. I think England should be in tournaments making strong impressions. And when you get the kind of draws that we've had against a poor German side, that people look back on paper and say it's the Germans, but it was a poor German side, a poor Ukrainian side, we get to a final, we get against Mancini. Mancini beat Southgate. Mancini changed the direction of travel in that game and had the nous and that extra bit of fact. Now, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that we see when it comes on top in this tournament and the manager makes a difference.
Hal, you must be,
whether he is that.
You must be loving this debate.